The room is dark, the phone is face down, you've done everything right, and you're staring at the ceiling having a full conversation with someone who isn't in the room. You tell yourself you're just processing the day, but processing ends. What you're doing doesn't end. You're running it again. The meeting that went sideways, the message you sent that came out wrong, the decision you made 3 months ago that you still haven't stopped second-guessing, the version of tomorrow where everything falls apart. You think about it from one angle, then another, then you zoom out and wonder what it means about you as a person. Then you zoom back in and reconstruct what you should have said, better, cleaner, sharper. You're not processing, you're rehearsing for a performance that may never happen. And here's the part nobody says out loud. You know it isn't helping. You know that at 2 a.m., lying in the dark, you don't have the information you need. You can't make the call. You can't send the message. You can't undo what happened or fast forward to what will. You know all of that, and you're still doing it. Because somewhere, deep in your nervous system, there's a wire crossed. A signal that says, if you think about it enough from the right angle, with enough urgency, you'll get ahead of it, you'll feel prepared, you'll feel safe. That feeling never arrives, and the mind just keeps circling. The problem isn't that you think too much. It's that you've handed your brain a job it was never designed to do, at a time when it has zero tools to do it, and you're lying there expecting it to clock out on its own. It won't. Not without a reason. And tonight, we're going to talk about that reason. This channel doesn't do quote dumps or morning routine breakdowns. We use Stoicism the way it was built, as a real working tool for people living messy modern lives who are tired of their own minds working against them. If you're someone who lies down at night and can't land, subscribe. That's who this is made for. Now let's get into it. Most people believe the fix for nighttime overthinking is learning to slow the mind down, so they go looking for the off switch. A sleep meditation, white noise, melatonin, the phone, which makes it dramatically worse, but at least it's something else to look at. An app that tells you to breathe in for 4 counts and out for 7. Anything to replace the loop with. Anything to stop the engine. And sometimes it works, for a night, maybe 2. But it never works consistently, and the reason is simple. You're treating the symptom without understanding what's actually happening. Your brain isn't broken when it does this. It isn't malfunctioning. It is doing exactly what it has been trained to do. You have spent years in an environment that rewarded mental vigilance. Stay on top of it. Don't get blindsided. Think it through. Think it through again. Be prepared. The person who planned for every scenario was the one who didn't get caught off guard. Your brain learned that lesson perfectly. So when the day ends and the external noise drops away, it does the only thing it knows how to do well. It scans. It checks for threats. It flags unresolved situations. It runs scenarios. It drafts responses for conversations that haven't happened yet. It's not broken. It's obedient. The problem is that it's responding to commands that no longer serve you. Commands you may not even remember giving. And until those commands change, no amount of white noise or counting backward from 300 is going to override what the brain has been deeply trained to do. The real question was never, how do I shut this down? It was always, what would give it permission to stop? That answer has existed for about 2,000 years, and most people who've read about Stoicism still haven't actually used it. There is one idea in Stoic philosophy that underpins almost everything else the Stoics wrote, taught, and lived by. It isn't about suppressing emotion, it isn't about toughening up, and it isn't a quote you put on a calendar. It's a distinction, precise, surgical, and once you see it clearly, you cannot unsee it. There are things that are up to you, and there are things that are not up to you. That's it. Not as a coping mechanism, not as a way to feel better about difficult things, as a literal functional cut. A line that divides every situation you'll ever face into 2 categories. And the claim the one the Stoics stake their entire philosophy on, is that most of what keeps you awake at night lives on the side of that line that was never yours to begin with. Here's how it works as an actual tool. Before your mind commits to a loop, before it sinks its teeth into a scenario and starts running variations, you hold the thought up and you ask one question. Is this mine to change right now? Not in theory, not eventually, right now. The outcome of that conversation you had this afternoon, not yours anymore. It happened. What that person thinks of you never was yours. Whether tomorrow's presentation goes perfectly, yours. The preparation, the presence, the intent. The outcome, not yours. Whether people agree with your decision, validate your perspective, or finally understand you, not yours. What is yours? Your attention. The standard you hold yourself to in this moment. The response you choose. The one thing in front of you right now. Here's why this works. The mechanism, not just the philosophy. Anxiety is not produced by circumstances. Anxiety is produced by the gap between what is happening and what you believe you should be able to control. That gap, right there, is where midnight loops live. And the only way to close it isn't to control more. It's to release what was never yours. When the brain accepts, not intellectually, not as a nice thought, but at the level of genuine belief, that the simulation cannot change the outcome, it stops running the simulation. Not because it's been suppressed, because it's been released from a job it was never supposed to have. Epictetus, born a slave in the Roman Empire, became one of the most cited philosophers in history, built his entire system around this one distinction. He called it the Dichotomy of Control, and he argued, with a clarity that cuts through 20 centuries without softening, that every instance of human suffering that doesn't come from physical pain comes from this one error: treating the things that aren't ours as if they were. He wasn't talking about indifference. He was talking about precision, the discipline to know which battles are actually real. Let's put the philosophy down for a second and talk about what's literally happening in your nervous system at midnight. Anxiety, the chest kind, the staring at the ceiling kind, is almost always oriented toward the future. And the future is, by definition, outside your control. What your brain is doing when it runs those loops isn't solving. Solving requires information you don't yet have, people you can't reach right now, actions you can't take until morning. What it's doing is something else. It's attempting to manufacture certainty, to reduce exposure, to make the open-ended feel a little more closed. And because the future never becomes certain, because the loop never gets what it's looking for, it runs again. A different variable, a slightly more catastrophic scenario, a slightly more reassuring one, quickly replaced by the catastrophic one, because optimism feels dangerous when something is unresolved. Psychologists call this rumination, a repetitive, passive focus on distress that produces zero movement toward resolution. The research is unambiguous. Rumination doesn't prepare you. It doesn't protect you. It predicts depression, impairs decision-making, and this one matters tonight, it actively suppresses the deep sleep stages your brain needs to consolidate memory, regulate emotion, and recover. You are grinding down the instrument you need to handle the thing you're grinding about. The Stoics called this chasing what isn't yours. Different name, same mechanism, same ceiling, same racing mind, same exhaustion that doesn't lead to rest. And the reason it hits hardest at night isn't mysterious. During the day, there are interruptions, tasks, people, the momentum of forward movement. At night, all of that disappears, and what's left is the raw engine, a mind that has never been given real permission to stop working, that doesn't know it's allowed to, because you've never told it that. You're already formulating the defense. I can hear it from here. These aren't small things. The stakes are real. If I stop thinking about it, something is going to slip through. Let's sit with that. You're right that the stakes are real, they are. This isn't about pretending they aren't. Here's the actual question. Is the version of you running those loops at 1 a.m. without access to the people involved, without full information, without the ability to take any action tonight, is that version of you better positioned to handle it? Or just more anxious? Because what sleep deprivation actually does to judgment isn't subtle. It narrows perspective, it amplifies threat perception. It makes the amygdala, the part of your brain that generates fear and threat responses, dramatically more reactive. Functionally, chronically poor sleep is one of the worst cognitive states in which to approach a problem that requires nuance, patience, or clear-headed decision-making. Here's what that means practically. The mind that keeps you up to prepare is consuming the exact resource you need to handle what it says it's preparing you for. Letting it go tonight is not avoidance. It is not resignation. It is not pretending the problem doesn't exist. It's protecting your only instrument. The problem will be there in the morning, every bit as real as it is right now. And so will you, but rested. And rested is a different category of person, the one who can actually do something about it. It was 2:17 in the morning. Justin was a project manager at a mid-sized company, not a high-drama job. He was good at it. That afternoon, he'd sent a client update, a straightforward email, the kind he wrote a dozen times a week. But he'd read it back after hitting send, and something in it hadn't sat right. The tone, a word that might have landed as dismissive, an ending that felt slightly off-register. Maybe. He wasn't sure. The client hadn't responded. So now it was 2:17, and he'd been running the scenarios for almost 90 minutes. In one version, the client hadn't registered it at all. In another, they were already drafting a response. In another, they'd mentioned it to their director. In the version his brain kept returning to, the one with the most detail, the most weight. It was the moment that quietly changed things. The first small crack in a relationship he'd spent 2 years building. He rewrote the email 4 times in his head. He thought about calling his manager in the morning to get ahead of it. He wondered if that was overreacting. Then he wondered if not calling was the overreaction. The ceiling didn't offer anything. Somewhere around 3 a.m., a thought arrived that he hadn't been expecting. Not an answer, not a solution, just a question. Quiet and slightly embarrassing in its clarity. What part of this is actually mine? He lay with it, the email, his. He'd written it, sent it, and could own it. If it had landed wrong, he'd address it directly, clearly in the morning, when he had full information and the ability to actually do something. But how the client had read it, he had zero data on that. Their interpretation, their reaction, whether it had even registered, none of that had ever been his. Not when he sent it, not now, not at 3 a.m. in the dark. He hadn't solved anything. The email was still out there. The uncertainty was still real, but the engine slowed. Not because the problem had been resolved, because he had finally clearly seen where the answer didn't live. Picture someone gripping a rope. They're pulling hard. Both hands full tension. But the other end, the end they can't see, was let go a long time ago. They're fighting with all their strength against nothing. That's what the mind does when it runs the loop at night. It's pulling on a rope that was released hours ago, in a conversation that ended, in a moment that passed. The rope isn't attached to anything anymore. The only thing keeping you in tension is you. Tonight, not in some future, calmer version of yourself, not after you've built a consistent meditation practice. Tonight, when the loop starts, you don't need a technique. You need one question. When the thought arrives, whatever it is, the conversation, the outcome, the decision, the thing you can't stop turning over, you look at it directly. You don't push it away. You look at it. And you ask, is this mine to control right now? Not ever, tonight, in this bed, at this hour. If the answer is no, and almost every time it will be no, you are not ignoring it. You are making a deliberate, conscious choice to defer it to the version of yourself that actually has the tools to handle it. The rested version, the one with full information, the one who can make the call, send the message, have the conversation face to face. That version exists. It shows up in the morning. The version lying in the dark, its only job right now is to rest. That is the entire task. Nothing has slipped through. Nothing has been abandoned. You've made a strategic decision about when your mind can actually do what your mind is trying to do. It won't feel like enough the first time. The mind will push back. It'll make the argument that something will fall through the cracks, that you're being irresponsible, that a responsible person would keep thinking about it. Let it make the argument. Then ask the question again, is this mine to control right now? Do that enough times with real honesty, not as a chant, but as a genuine question, and something changes. Not overnight, but something shifts. The mind stops expecting to resolve things at 2 a.m. because it's been shown, repeatedly and clearly, that 2 a.m. isn't where resolution lives. That's the only rule you need tonight. Everything else follows from it. So here's the question I'll leave you with, and I mean this as a real question, not rhetorical. What's one thing you're still carrying right now, maybe even tonight, that you already know, if you're honest with yourself, was never yours to carry? Not the whole problem, just one piece of it, one thing that belongs to someone else's decisions, someone else's reactions, or a future that hasn't happened yet. Drop it in the comments. You don't need to have figured it out. Just name it. And if something in this video cut through, if there was a moment where it felt like someone finally said the thing clearly, you know where the subscribe button is. That's who this channel is for.